Stay tuned for an insightful episode with Andrea Brainard. Andrea Brainard, how are you doing this evening? Glad to have you on HTM On The Line.
Thanks for having me, Bryant. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, finally, we get to get on the podcast. We talk a lot. We see each other in person, but this is, to me, long overdue. I'm glad you've given me this chance. You know, you've been on other people's shows. I won't say
I won't say no names, but
Chase.
Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor. Thank you.
Right. We kind of both have something in common. We both work for children's hospitals, so I think we can have a great conversation because we see the same environment every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But before we get going, why don't you introduce yourself to the ones that may not know who you are, but just give us a little background on you. You don't have to go into no deep 30-minute. I know you can go a long time. You've been doing this a while, but just give us a brief background of yourself.
Yeah. All right. Andrea Brainard. I'm the senior director at Children's Health in Dallas. I've been with the company for going on 21 years this year. Been in the HTM community. I'm going to date myself here. Almost 30 years now. It's all I've ever done since I graduated college as a wee little girl. And I've kind of worked my way up into the position I'm in now. I did field service for a couple of years prior to coming on with Children's as a biomed tech too. But pretty much it. I mean, that's all I've done. My whole life is just HTM.
How long have you been in the leadership role that you're in? I guess not in the role you're in now, but how long have you been in a leadership position?
Oh man. Now I'm going to have to put the Wayback Machine on because, COVID kind of took out a couple of years that, we're all going to forget about. Gosh, if I had to put a number to it, at least close to 10 years, maybe.
Okay. Right. So
if not, I'm going to have to look on my LinkedIn profile because that's where all the stats and dates are.
10 years feeling like 31 years, huh?
Right. It all runs together.
Hey, there you go. Now, how would you define Andrea's leadership style if you had to put it into words?
Oh, that's a tough one. I try to stay hands off for the most part. I don't hover. I don't micromanage. I want people to grow and learn, but I want to kind of do it. Not that I'm not engaged. I am very engaged with my leaders, but I don't like to hover. My leaders know when they come to me that I'm going to provide them with the guidance or whatever they need. But my approach from a day-to-day is you're in this position because you know what you're doing. So you run your business. And if you need me, I'm always here. So that's kind of high level my approach.
The times we live in, obviously things have evolved in HTM so quickly. What do you think may have played a part in some of your hands-off leadership style with regards to the way things are evolving in HTM right now?
Yeah, honestly, I don't know that it has, it's an evolution. It's more of I've had leaders in the past that I didn't like their style. So as I continue to grow and educate myself and read all these leadership books and take leadership classes, my style kind of evolved from that. I try to be very, I approach things as I want people to do things the way that I would want them taught to me. If that makes sense. So do as you're told or whatever, So I didn't want to go down the road of, well, I don't like how I'm being treated by this leader. So I know this is not what I want to do. So that's kind of how my style has evolved over the years, is just what would I like and how do I think people learn best? And we have these conversations in our leadership huddles about, hey, what do you need? What kind of approach do you like? And most of the leaders that report to me, they like the same thing. They're like, you let me do my job. And if I need something, I come to you. So that has just kind of evolved over the years, because I've had leaders that hover and tell me how to do things as opposed to letting me do it and potentially fail. They just tell me how to do it. And I'm like, well, I'm not learning anything from that. Right. So I don't like that approach. So I try not to take it. And I've tried not to be that way with my leaders.
Like you wouldn't ask anything of them you probably wouldn't do yourself as a leader.
Exactly. Or that I probably haven't done. And that even goes, to frontline staff. When I first went into leadership, it was a very hard transition for me personally to go from a technician to a manager. Because again, there were certain expectations of being a leader. And one of those was, well, you can't be at the bench every day. Like that's just not feasible. So it was very hard for me to let go of that little piece of me. And it took me a long time. And back then there was a running joke that, oh, if Andrea comes in scrubs, watch out. She's going to do circles around somebody. And over the years, that has just, as I evolved into more, growing in my leadership position, that has kind of dwindled. But yet I've done everybody's job in the shop. Like I know how to do it and I've been there and I've done that. And as people have moved on, kind of when I was a tech that knew me as a technician, now the new people, all they know me as is a leader. They don't know that I was once a biomed other than, I was once in your position. But I try to look at it from the lens of, I'm not going to ask somebody to do something that I haven't either done myself or I know it can be done by you.
So what type of challenges would you say, being a female leader, what type of challenges you think you've seen in the industry for female leaders?
I believe in the principle of give it your best work and you're going to get rewarded for that work. And I feel like that's why I'm in the position I'm in. I have proven myself that I can do the job. So I was, given those opportunities. I've had a couple of bad leaders here and there throughout the years, but I would say since I've been in leadership that I've had good leaders that support me, and they've all been males. So I feel like I haven't had some of those challenges in my leadership position. Now, when I was a technician, my very first job out of college, yes, I definitely had challenges there. At the particular hospital I was working at, there was some older generation there that are probably fixing to retire. So, you're talking 30 years ago, somebody that was in their 50s or 60s. And they were of the mindset still that women should be at home cooking and cleaning. And they were very vocal about certain things, and they were vocal about my heritage and where I came from. So I had challenges being a female in that aspect very early on in my career. But I think as I've progressed, those challenges to me seem to diminish, or I just didn't pay attention to them. And I'm going to work my butt off and this is what I want to do. And I'm going to keep proving myself. And my leaders, as I grew up, so to speak, saw that. And, I was afforded the opportunities to progress in my career.
Awesome. I promise you, I won't beat you up with female questions in the HTM industry. But you mentioned your culture and background. Now, diversity and inclusion is a huge thing today. Now, how do you foster an inclusive culture within your team, if you could?
I treat everybody equally. I mean, everybody has a voice. Everybody has a seat at the table. Speaking, diversity and culture, a lot of companies, particularly mine, they're doing a lot of training around that. And I think it's a good thing. Because there is still a lot of biases out in the world today. I mean, I think we're seeing it, on the news daily. So it's tough. I get it. I feel like I have my eyes pretty open. Again, I'm not from this country originally. Born and raised in Germany. Both of my parents are German. I've had diversity in my life. You know, back when I was born, there was East and West Germany. And not to get, I'm sorry if I'm getting into too many details, but I think that, this kind of lends to my thinking. I grew up being called a Nazi because I was born and raised in Germany. Yet I was born in West Germany, grew up there. I was there when the wall fell. So I feel like personally, and I could say this till I'm blue in the face and people might not believe me, but I have a whole different outlook on people in general. I didn't see my first African American person until I came to the United States. And to me, it was like, okay, I mean, they're a different color, but so what? Like, I don't differentiate when it comes to certain things. And I think that's helped me keep my eyes open, so to speak, and be more diverse and have a different outlook when it comes to diversity and inclusion.
I noticed one time before, probably stalking your page a while ago, you had and I think I teased you about it. Your team, y'all dressed up in, was it sports jerseys? I think was it during HTM week? I think something was going on, and I thought I threw my dig in there like, where are the Saints jerseys? So I think that's a pretty cool thing y'all did that week, and dressing up in different team sports. What other type of things in that aspect you do to make fun things where you get everyone's coming together from different types of liking, whether it's sports or culture or music, whatever, that you may do with your team?
Definitely during HTM week, we do a lot of things. This year or last year, we had a lot of fun. One was, dress up, flat throwback Thursday. So dress up, I had people coming in the 70s gear and 60s gear and a lot of 80s and things like that. So HTM week is always a fun week because I try to make it, we try to have fun that week. Throughout the year, I mean, we always do a traditional Thanksgiving potluck for the entire HTM team, and we have 65 people now. So it's a large group, but I pre-book a room early in the year, and everybody brings a dish, and we just chill out. And this year, we played some games, and people got prizes, and I think everybody had a great time. And then around Christmas holidays, we always do a gift exchange. Usually it's $20, $25 gift. You wrap it. It's a white elephant type of thing. Last year, we tried something different where it was you have to bring a funny or weird mug, like coffee mug, and a bottle of your favorite, a mini, like airplane bottle of your favorite liquor. So that was fun. And instead of doing the white elephant, we read the left right game. So you come up with a story, and I just picked one off the internet. And every time you say left, it gets passed to the left, and every time you say right, it gets passed to the right in the story. So we did that, and everybody, I think everybody had fun, and everybody walked away with a cool new mug and a little, mini airplane bottle of liquor. But who doesn't like liquor, especially on my team?
Me and you constantly run into each other at the trade shows, and obviously the reason we go to the trade shows so we can stay with whatever the latest things happening in our industry. So just I'm gonna ask you this question: how do you stay ahead of this industry that's changing so much with regards to technology trends? How do you stay ahead of that with you and your team?
Cybersecurity is a big one right now. It's on the forefront. We're trying to get tools in our tool belt that helps our team to move forward, make sure our equipment is safe. I subscribe to, all the newsletters and all the blogs and everything that comes out. And I just try to, on my way home from work, or if I don't have a meeting and I'm just doing emails, I turn on a podcast and just try to educate myself. And then I usually share that with my team, especially if it's something important. Not everything because then it's overload for them. It's like, oh, why are you sending me this other thing? But there's always hot topics that come up, and we talk about those. The HTM manager currently does weekly huddles. And if there's something that is of note, I communicate that to him and he communicates it to the team. Most recently I got a email forwarded to me from one of the biomed groups directors that I'm on for all the children's hospitals about a cybersecurity attack. Hey, just FYI, so-and-so got hacked. Just sharing is caring. And of course, I send that to my cybersecurity guys, and then I send it to my team to say, hey, if you guys, see anything weird or unusual, you need to make sure you let somebody in leadership know so we can escalate that to see if there's a true issue. But I try to forward emails that are pertinent to the team. And if it's noteworthy that we need to talk about it, we'll grab a quick huddle and chat as those things come up.
Yes, that's great. Now, I hear you mentioning your huddles. It seems like you meet with your managers very often, or at least once a week. Now, I don't know if you can do this, but is there something can you share a particular project in the past or right now that you guys was working on and it was very challenging, but then you successfully worked together to get over that challenge? Is there something you could share with us?
Yeah. So we actually just finished deploying all of our new Alaris infusion pumps literally last week. And HTM where I work, HTM comprised of 65 people. That is, you've got the traditional biomed group, if you will. I also manage medical equipment. So they're the ones that centrally distribute all medical devices, including the Alaris pumps. They clean it, maintain PARs on the floors, et cetera. Everybody came together to get it done in a week, as opposed to if it was just put on, 2 or 3 people, we'd still be doing it. So my team, they do a really great job at, hey, we've got a task, and if we all get out there and do it, we'll get it done that much faster. So we just stop operations for a couple of days, knock it out, and then get back to it.
What do you see the biggest challenges facing our industry in the next 3 to 5 years? Not mentioning cybersecurity, because we know that's there. Other than cybersecurity, what do you see some other challenges facing us in the next 3 to 5 years?
Not enough technicians. I mean, I think it's something we're already seeing. COVID kind of exasperated that as everybody, the older generation decided, oh, I'm just going to go ahead and retire. But I think that's going to be a huge challenge. We don't have enough students coming out of some of these colleges. Technicians are getting harder to find in larger metropolitan areas like DFW, where I'm at. Everybody's vying for the same positions. So if somebody leaves, it's probably because another hospital is paying them a little bit more. And I think that's a huge issue. We've got to get this industry out in the forefront. There's still people that have no clue what we do. I got an article the other day about the top 100 jobs you've never heard of. Mm-hmm. And medical equipment repair was number 5.
I saw that same article. You were right.
And so I started digging into it, and I was like, okay, so it's the top 100. And then there was another one, top 100. Now I can't remember. I don't know if it was the best paid or jobs or something, but on that list, medical equipment repair was 26. Mm-hmm. I do feel like we've always been underpaid in general. I won't say what I was making 30 years ago. It's a crazy. But I mean, the exponential increase in starting pay is ridiculous. It's crazy. We're still underpaid compared to some of our like IT counterparts when we've got compliance and regulatory requirements that we have to abide by. But I mean, we're getting there. But the shortage of technicians and trying to figure out how do we get more people to know about this? Because it's not I don't want to dismiss it. It's not a hard job, if you will. To me, it's a very rewarding job, and I can teach anybody how to fix medical equipment. Um, but I think you mentioned it in one of your podcasts that, you're going to the high schools,
Yes.
and talking to students and stuff, and that's fantastic. And we need more of that. But I almost feel like sometimes in some of the high schools, by the time they're, sophomores, juniors, some of these kids already know what they want to do and they've got their minds made up. My kid's a freshman. He knows exactly what he wants to do when he graduates. And I'm like, that's fantastic, because I can tell you when I graduated high school, I had no clue what I wanted to do.
Yeah, they have more resources and things, I think, to help them. But I'm going to tell you this much. What you mentioned is exactly true. And that's the reason I go to the high schools. And for some of those kids, for the ones that know what they want to do, I guess it depends on the high schools you go to.
Yeah.
Because I go to some high schools, they'll tell me they know what they want to do. I'm like, oh, that's great. So I asked them the next question. I said, well, how many credits do you need to obtain what you want to go do in college? I don't know. What school teaches what you want to do? I don't know. How much is it going to cost? So sometimes they'll say what they want to do, but then, ask them a little deeper. Okay, so what school presents that? And some people are telling me that's kind of a hard question to ask a kid. Like, nah, these kids are brilliant. They can go on that internet and find any and everything. So they can figure out that part too, I said. And I just think with our industry, seniors are almost too late. You got to catch them as freshmen. I think even in middle school, by the time elementary, I mean, if you put it on their mind, well, elementary, we need to catch them. We need some older ones. We can't wait till we can't start at 15 years, hopefully, to get there. But, but if we catch them like ninth graders and they see you every year, that's what it's going to take. Not just a few people. It's going to take all of us, because that's the only way we're going to have to invest in our industry, because it's a great industry. Like you said, it's not challenging. I mean, it's challenging, but you have the tools.
It has its challenges, but everybody's got the tools.
Exactly. And I ain't talking about physical tools. I'm talking about, we have all tools. And there's a saying I always say, you give me the wheel, I'll teach them the skill. Because that's the challenge.
Exactly.
That's the challenges I have, is finding people that just have the passion like you. And you're not going to find that all the time, but it's all about that leadership role you play. And look like that's why you have a great team, because you were there and you know what they're going through because you've been in their shoes, and that's reflecting on your team. And as far as this challenge with staffing, like you mentioned, these young kids could fix that so quick. We just gotta get to them. I mean,
well, and I think a piece of that too is hitting some of the parents too.
Yes.
Jewel and I talked about this a while back. It's like, let's think outside of the box. It's like, we need to talk to the parents, because and the other one was the underserved community, right? The ones that can't afford to go to a 4-year college. I think my degree cost me $8,000. I mean, that's nothing. Some of the 2-year colleges, biomed programs, they're less than 10 grand easily in today's world. And it's like, well, what do we've got to try to hit those specialized pockets where it's like, hey, look, here's an affordable degree, and here's what you get back on your investment day one out of college. Like, we have those numbers.
Absolutely.
And, get those parents to kind of help us push, like, hey, here's this career field that is an excellent return on your investment as soon as you get out. And in today's society, like, you're going to get a job. There's so many jobs open across the country.
I'm going to ask you this one here, just like a personal question.
Oh boy.
If you had to reflect on your career, because it's been a couple of decades there, I won't say triple, but it's a couple. What are you most proud of?
Going back to school and finishing my bachelor's degree.
Awesome.
I got my associate's degree. I started working. I had my kid a little later in life. tried to go back to school when I had him. I couldn't do it. Everybody's like, oh, you're not gonna be able to do it. I'm like, sure I can. I can have a baby and go to school, no problem. Well, that didn't work out. Life happens, activities, school, etc. And then I was like, you know what? I've got to put my foot down and finish this. If not for me, to show my son that his mom is going to finish her degree and is going to get that. And I wanted to do it for me and my family, not for anybody else, not because I needed it for my position by any means. So I talked to my husband. I said, look, I'm going to need you to handle the night stuff so I can sit down and do my schoolwork every night. And I did it for about it. I only needed a couple more credits. So I think it was 1.5 years, 2 years. And everybody was able to see me walk across that stage. And that was awesome.
Now, no doubt, for you to accomplish goals, someone had to bring you there. We can't do anything on our own. Do you have a mentor that maybe shaped your career or helped you get to where you are?
I've had a lot of mentors over the years. I don't know that I can pick out any one particular person. I think as I've grown, the mentors that I've had in my life have shaped me to get to that next part.
Yes.
To get to that next, if I'm going from a technician to a manager to director, et cetera. I think each person has helped me at that time kind of mentor me to get to that next phase of my career.
Okay, since you said that there's been multiple mentors that helped you, how do you approach mentorship then, as far as in the HTM industry? How do you go about now being all the experience you have? You are now in the position to be part of a mentorship for someone. So how do you approach that?
Right. I would love to be a mentor to others. When I go to conferences, I say, hey, if you ever want to talk, if you ever have any questions, whatever, formal or informal, always reach out. Some people do, some people don't. I'm part of Amy's mentorship program. Sorry. And I've had 2 mentees through that. And that was fun. I get excited when I get to talk about biomed. I get excited about, teaching the younger generation and trying to figure out what, do they want to go into a specialty? Do they want to work for an ISO, OEM, for the hospital? And try to help them think through that and not just automatically, oh, I'm going to work for a hospital. Well, no, you have other choices. There's many other choices that you can do. So I like being a mentor. And I try to be open about it. And sometimes I have people that reach out and sometimes I don't. And that's okay.
That's awesome. And I'm going to tell you something, Andrea. You can be a mentor to someone without them even knowing. Just by you consistently doing what you're doing. I can tell you encourages me and I feed off your energy. And when I see you in person, I get that same feeling from you. And it's encouraging just to see you continuously doing what you're doing every day. That's a mentorship to someone, believe me, trust me, because it motivates me. So keep doing the great job you're doing. And
thank you.
I want you to give, I don't want to say words of wisdom because everybody uses that word. What kind of advice could you give for everyone? I'm not going to say young or old, but just some general advice you can give to someone in the HTM industry that can go across the board, where it can help a young person in the industry, mid-level, or just in it. What could you share?
Oh, I know you think I'd have some great wisdom. I don't. I always stick by do unto others as you would do unto them mentality, and just toot your own horn when appropriate. I don't see enough of that. And it's okay to brag on yourself. Again, do it appropriately. But if you did something like super outstanding, tell somebody, tell your leader.
Yeah.
Bring it up on your peak. you have to toot your own horn. Otherwise, some people, nobody ever will.
Yeah, that's great advice, because it's like you said, as long as you do it with a humility in mind, you're not bragging, you're just sharing accomplishments you have.
Exactly.
That's great advice. You're not, you probably got plenty more in there too if I pull it up. Like you said, you have to have humility also in this industry, because you're going to have some challenges, especially when we deal with the healthcare. But the one thing I could say that I mentioned earlier, we both work at children's hospitals. So it's like it's a different, I've recently started here 2 years ago. I've never worked in a hospital with just strictly children. It's been NICU, of course, but it's just something different about working in a children's hospital. Watching those kids walking around with that IV pole, it just makes you feel so much better about what we do every day. Because without that IV pole and pump, she couldn't walk around and see anything of value, because she had to be stuck in a room. So just, you come to work, you excited about coming to work, because children are all over the place, and I don't know how your building look, but I'm more than sure it's painted with multiple colors and lighting, and it's a beautiful place.
Oh yeah, it's pretty for sure. Yeah, and I think everybody comes to work with a different mindset, because they are treating children's, and it's a fun place to work in general. Like, we do the organization does a lot of fun things throughout the year. So we try to carry that down into our department.
Yeah. One thing we're doing right now is a Taylor Swift. She's coming to New Orleans in the fall. So the hospital bought 4 tickets, and they're doing a raffle. And right now they're doing they're promoting it, and they're walking around the hospital. They'll ask people, they'll sing a few lyrics from the song, and then they ask you to finish. And it's hilarious watching people sing the lyrics to Taylor Swift. And at one of our leadership meetings, the COO, senior vice president, and senior director, they did a Taylor Swift performance. And the COO had on a wig, a skirt. It's on my LinkedIn page. You gotta check it out. But it's hilarious. But
I love it. Yeah.
But that's things you do for the kids.
Right. You don't see that type of energy at other organizations, at an adult facility. But yeah, there's some crazy things that happens, and the crazy things you see leadership do. But yeah, we love it. Yes. We do it for the children.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, I appreciate you coming on. We got to do it again, man, because I know we probably can go about 3 hours.
Right.
I'm glad you came on, and we got to do this again more frequently, because I think we can have an episode just talking about children's hospitals and the challenges. Oh, yeah. Maybe that'd be a good thing we got to do.
Might be good. Yeah, might be a good thing. No, I appreciate you having me on. Always good to talk to you, and we'll connect soon.
And that wraps up another engaging episode of HTM On The Line. A heartfelt thank you to Andrea Brainard for sharing her profound insights and experiences with us, providing a valuable perspective on leadership, team dynamics, and the critical issues facing the healthcare technology management industry today. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in. We hope today's discussion has inspired you, enriched your understanding, and sparked curiosity about the impactful world of HTM. If you found value in our conversation, please consider sharing this episode on your social media platforms to spread the word and foster a wider discussion about the HTM industry. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform to stay updated with the latest conversations. Until next time, keep pushing boundaries, stay curious, and remember, the future of HTM is not just about the equipment, it's about the people who make it work. I'm Brian Hawkins Sr. Thank you for joining us on HTM On The Line. Stay safe and stay connected.